Hello everyone, my name is Jennifer and welcome to Best Kept Plans. Today's video is going to be my October 2024 TBR. If you're interested in seeing what books I want to read this month, please stick around. I was not planning on filming this video today, so bear with me. It's super dreary out and cloudy, rainy, misty, so if the color's a little wonky, I apologize. I just had a lot of energy and I felt like I really wanted to talk about some books right now. So I quickly put together my October TBR, which I'm actually very, very excited about the books that I have on my TBR. I have 6 books on my TBR this month. That has been working for me in 2024. Doesn't necessarily mean I always read all of them, but I just think it's a very manageable number. It allows me the ability to mood read, which I feel like I've been leaning into more and more in the last few months. So the first book that we're going to talk about, the first book that is on my October 2024 TBR is Nettle and Bone by T. Kingfisher. This is classified as a fantasy, so it will fulfill my October fantasy read in my fantasy challenge. It's also on my 24 books in 2024. It definitely gives me a little bit of like a spooky, eerie kind of a vibe. So I've had my eye on reading this in October or November, definitely during the fall months. So very excited to have it on my TBR. The next book is one that I've had for quite a while. I don't know why I haven't read it. I don't really know much about it, but from the cover, it seems like something I'd be really, really interested in. And that is The Midnight Library by Haig. I've had this forever. It's part of the reason why I put it on my 24 books in 2024 reading challenge. I wanted to make sure that I finally got to it this year, and I'm super excited to have it on my October TBR. It's not necessarily giving me like spooky vibes or anything like that, but I definitely feel like it's giving me magical realism at a minimum, potentially more fantasy, and that seems like it's going to work well for October. The next book we're going to talk about is one that I think I had on my TBR for October last year. And that book is The Last House on Needless Street by Catriona Ward. I think this book, this cover is so intriguing. It's so creepy, and I want to read it, but I've also been kind of really, really scared to read it. I am not a horror girly. I am not a major spooky vibes kind of a gal. I don't like scary things. And looking at this cover, it looks like it's going to be a scary book. I'm picking it so that it will fulfill my horror prompt on my genre challenge. I'm desperate to read this. I think I'm gonna try to get the audiobook for this though, because I feel like I'm gonna need a little bit of help getting into this story or forcing myself to stick with this story, especially if it gets to be a little bit creepy, a little bit scary. So we'll see how it goes. The next 3 books on my TBR for October do not fulfill any of my reading challenge prompts, but a couple of them are review copies that I was fortunate enough to be sent. The first of which is Rules for Ghosting by Shelly J. Shore. Dell Romance sent this to me. It was actually really funny. They posted it on their Instagram, and I thought that the cover was super, super cute for October and for what I'm assuming is a romance. And so I commented on the Instagram story saying that I thought it was super, super cute. And they commented back saying, hey, send us your email and we'll send you a copy. So they did, which was really, really nice of them. They didn't have to do that. So I'm very excited to give this a read. I wanted to make sure that even though I was kind of leaning into the spooky season in the month of October, that I at least had one romance on my TBR. So excited to give this a read and to use this to kind of break up some of the heavier reads that I think I'm gonna have this month. The next one is a fantasy. This is a review copy that I was sent by Bramble months and months and months ago. 2 other books in this series have been released by the time I'm finally getting to this, and that is The Serpent and the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent. Now, this is the first book in the Crowns of Nyaxia series. I don't know a ton about this. I believe my friend has read this though, and she told me it has to do with vampires. I know this became super popular. I'm excited to dive into this series. I haven't read anything vampire related, I feel like, in a very long time. So this is going to be very exciting to get to in the month of October. And thank you to Bramble for sending that to me. And then the last book that we're going to talk about on my October 2024 TBR is one that I have been kind of holding on to or saving for a couple of months now, and that is A Middle of the Night by Riley Sager. I think that my opinion on this book is going to help to cement how I feel about Riley Sager in general, and if he's an author that I want to dive into his backlist a bit more, versus if he's someone that maybe I'll pick up in the mood, but I don't feel totally compelled to automatically go for his new releases or really feel very interested in exploring his backlist. I know absolutely nothing about what this book is about, and I want to keep it that way. Very excited to give this a read. Now, while that is my official TBR for October 2024, there's definitely several books that I would like to get to in October, or at the very least in November, that I wanted to chat about a little bit. The first one is a review copy that Del Romance sent to me, and that is Casket Case by Lauren Evans. It's obviously giving some kind of Halloween-esque October spooky, but in a fun way vibes. I think having another romance isn't going to be a bad idea. The next book that we're going to talk about is another review copy that I got sent from Bramble, and this one I feel like I could read anywhere from October to December, and that is The Nightmare Before Kissmas by Sara Raasch. I could be saying that last name wrong, and if I am, I apologize. If I don't get a chance to read it in October, I'll probably honestly save it for early December, but we'll see what happens. Next, we have a review copy of a book that is independently published. The author sent this to me, and I desperately want to read it, and that is How to Fake It with a Fae by Amy Boyles. And I mean, like, look at how beautiful that cover is. The hat, the shoes, the potion bottles. It's just so adorable and so non-spooky Halloween that I'm very eager to read it. Next, we have 2 books that I have ARCs for digitally, but don't have physical copies of. The first of which is The Wedding Witch. I'm assuming that this is the 3rd book in a series that Erin Sterling has had going on. I've read the first 2. I think it's going to follow that 3rd Penhallow male main character. I hope I'm right. I'm excited to have gotten the arc. Another book that I'm super excited about is What Does It Feel Like by Sophie Kinsella. I am a huge Sophie Kinsella fan. I think I've read at least 2 or 3 of her books since I started making book videos here on YouTube, but I've actually read a ton of her backlist. I love her books. I genuinely do. I always have. I believe this is a short story. I think that people have said this is kind of her most personal story. It's dealing with a main character who is currently undergoing treatment for a brain tumor. I expect this to be a very emotional read, but I also expect it to be fun and funny like Sophie Kinsella's books are, and I'm very, very excited to read this. The next book is a review copy that I was fortunate enough to get, and that is Graveyard Shift by ML Rio. This is a little novella, nice and short. I feel like I should be able to get through this fairly quickly. I genuinely have no idea what this is about, and I want to keep it that way. I'm just so excited to have another piece of work from ML Rio on my hands. Very much looking forward to this, and thank you so much to Flatiron Books for sending me this review copy. Next, we have 2 books that are not ARCs or review copies, but are books that I would like to read in October if I can. How many books have we talked about? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We've talked about 12 books so far. I don't think I'm going to be reading 12 books in October. Definitely not more than 12 books in October, but we will see what happens. This one is one I've had for a while. I actually was intentionally saving it to read in October, and there's just a bunch of other stuff that I want to get to this month, so I'm not sure it's going to happen, but it is This Spells Love by Kate Robb. We will see. Not sure that I'm going to get to it. And then lastly, I have had this book for a while. I love this author, and that is Masters of Death by Olivie Blake. Again, just from the title and from the cover, I would like to read this in October, but I don't feel that I absolutely have to. I would like to read it this fall though. Everything that I've read by her, I've really enjoyed. I'd love to pick up another one of her books sooner rather than later. And that is going to be it for my October 2024 TBR, the 6 ARCs or review copies that I would really like to get to in the month of October if I can, and a couple of other things sprinkled on in. If you have read any of the books that I talked about in this video, please do not hesitate to put a comment down below. And as always, everyone, please be safe. Bye-bye.